And what's going on, everybody? It is episode 39 of We Are Family, and we're coming in hot today. We were gonna lead
I
off
like it
talking,
hot, hot, hot. Bum, bum,
we like it
bum.
hot.
I like it
Well,
hot, hot, hot. What is that song?
we
Who
love
said
we
that
love
song?
the
I
hot
forget.
stove NFL. I don't know what you're talking about, but we were gonna talk about the Pirates and the draft and what they did and the home run derby, and we are still gonna talk about those. We were gonna talk about that stuff to lead off. But we just got some breaking news in the NFL revolving around your Pittsburgh Steelers, and it's
Of course,
something
it's the
that's really,
Steelers.
of course, it's the Steelers. They are Omar Khan and Mikey Tomlin are full of headlines this offseason, and they made another headline, although not surprising in the slightest. I don't think it was just.
No.
I was saying it was a matter of when, not if, with this, but TJ Watt signs a 3-year, $123 million extension with the Pittsburgh Steelers to remain with the team through 2028. So he has his last year of his prior deal, which is this coming season, 2025, and then that 3-year, 123 will kick in after the 2025 season. So, guys, what are your instant reactions? What are your initial thoughts on this? Did the Steelers overpay? Obviously, now he's the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history, and obviously currently in the NFL by about 0.76 over Jamar Chase. But what do we think here? Did the Steelers overpay? Obviously, T.J. Watt is 31 years old, 31 years old. He's going to be turning 35 at the end of this deal. Did they overpay? Was the deal about right? What are our thoughts? Jake, I guess I'll go to you first.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, this was a deal that, like you mentioned, was a matter of when, not if, just because of all the moves the Steelers made. I mean, they have a team full of veterans. I don't think it would have made sense to trade TJ Watt, especially after you made all those moves. Maybe if they were in a rebuilding mode, I could see that, obviously. That would make a lot more sense, but it felt like they had to get this done. So I'm not surprised by it at all. As for if he's overpaid or underpaid, I don't really know. I mean, we all know how valuable TJ Watt has been to that Steelers defense. It seems like whenever he's not on the field, they're just a completely different unit. So it's more just investing in what he's done. I know last year you can say maybe he had a down year, but I mean, the first half of the season he was, a Defensive Player of the Year candidate again. So I wouldn't really worry about that too much. I think that it's a deal that makes sense. Not much more to say about it. I mean, it's what the Steelers needed to do with the offseason they had, and yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, well, okay, so I don't know if Nate, if you said this, but I figured out, so it is 3 years, $123 million. That's the total salary. But that's starting next year. So 2026, 2027, 2028, he's going to be getting $41 million a year. Now, a couple people are saying it's 4 years, $144 million. That's correct when you count the $21 million he's making this year. Now, his cap hit is $30 million, but he's making $21 million as his salary. So his salary overall for these next 4 years is $36.5 million, but the new deal is worth $41 million a year. The positives of this, the only real positive of this, I think TJ Watt probably wanted more years. I think he probably wanted to get into his age 35, age 36 season and maybe do 4 or 5 years, a 4 or 5 year extension. But the Steelers were able to get him to make it only a 3-year extension, which I think is smart because once you get to age 34, it's like, how much is he going to have left in the tank by then, right? And that would be his last year. So I think in terms of the years, the Steelers got it right. However, this whole situation, we've talked about this, has been mishandled. I mean, they already are the highest paid defense in the league. You add Jalen Ramsey, which isn't adding a whole lot of money because you got rid of Minka, and now you add this, and it's just a constant situation with the Steelers where they put themselves in trouble defensively with their money, and they don't live up to the hype on defense. You have to be a top 5 defense every year with the amount of players you have and this big of a contract with TJ Watt now. But like Jake Bell said, I mean, what were they going to do? You can't just trade him after you made all of these all-in moves this year. So, I mean, I could make the argument that you could still, even though you're all in this year, you could still make that trade because you have to look to your future because you know that Aaron Rodgers is only lasting you 1 year. And a lot of these guys that you're building around, like Jalen Ramsey, like Jonnu Smith, you expect, even though they're like a little older, you'd expect them to be here down the line, similarly to TJ Watt. But like I'm talking about within the next 2 years. But I just, again, it just goes to show the constant issue with the Steelers, which is spending too much on defense, and giving him more value. For giving more and more value for an older player. I mean, he's getting way more than what he was in his best years. And I don't know if the way he played last year, he earned this kind of contract. The biggest issue, before I move on to you, Nate, the biggest issue I have with this, $108 million of it is guaranteed. 108. That's the whole, like, that's most of it. That's 15 million of it is non-guaranteed. So if he gets hurt, right, TJ Watt week 1 tears his ACL, you're giving him 30 whatever million a year anyway. And he could do absolutely nothing for you. Not that that would be his fault, but he's getting so much guaranteed money. In his first big contract, he only got 80 million guaranteed. Now the older version of TJ Watt gets 30 million more guaranteed. I mean, how does that work? I can understand them. I understand that he wants to raise his salary, and I think he's earned that over his obviously great years of work. But for him to get more guaranteed money as an older, a guy who's aging now, as an edge player is very confusing. But not I guess not that surprising. We knew the Steelers would kind of cave into this because they view themselves as all in, and it would be a bad look if they just traded TJ Watt.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with what both you guys are saying. We knew they were going to give out this extension, like we all mentioned. And now, about a week ago, there was reports that both sides were pretty far apart in their contract negotiations. But it kind of shows how quickly, if you offer somebody the most money by a non-quarterback in the league, how quickly they will kind of agree to that. But I do agree. I do think that he was looking for more years, and I think that is the one. Peyton, I agree. The one kind of solace with this, otherwise, not negative deal, but not the greatest deal because it's not for 5 years. It doesn't tie them down even more longer term. And in terms of when you were saying about they're the highest paid defense already, and now they're going to be, at least for next season for them, he's still on over 21 million or whatever he's going to make. So it kicks in 2026 when probably a lot of those contracts may go off the book depending on how this season goes and who all leaves. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers is probably a 1-year stay. But some of those older guys on the defense may be their last year with the Steelers as well, so maybe that comes off the books, and who knows. But at least it's not that 41 doesn't kick in for 2025 already, and then they're probably over the cap or something, you'd have to assume, because they were pretty tight already. So, and again, at least it's that 3 years and not a 5-year where he's maybe 36, 37. We know. I mean, football players in general don't last that long into their upper 30s, let alone edge rushers and D linemen and O linemen and stuff who are playing the most physical aspect of the NFL. So, but yeah, we knew they were going to cave. We knew they were going to. That's just who the Steelers are, especially with the defense. And they weren't going to take a PR hit. It would be if they traded T.J. Watt or didn't pay him, it would have been a massive PR hit. That's just what it was going to be. And we got to be honest, this fan base it's still in the past. They still have that defense first mindset. I don't know when or if that's ever going to go away.
Wave the towel! Wave the towel!
Wave the towel. Defense, renegade, yes, nostalgia. But it's just, if T.J. Watt is the most revered player, other than maybe Cam Hayward, on this team, and everybody, the player with the most jerseys around the city and among Steeler fans is T.J. Watt. So if you trade T.J. Watt, there's going to be an uproar in this city, even though I think we could all agree it would probably be the best move for this franchise long term, especially with the draft capital you're looking at potentially in 2026 with the draft hosted in Pittsburgh. So even though I think the Steelers were kind of feeling that pressure from the fan base too, and they cave to the pressure all the time. We kind of see that, and a lot of franchises do. Your fans are very important to. I mean, they're the biggest thing with how you're running your organization. That's how you make your money in the end. But they really just. I don't want to even say like bent the knee. It was a good thing. I'm happy for T.J. Watt. I'm a big fan of T.J. Watt. I've loved watching him play for the Steelers since he got drafted in 2017. He's been a great Steeler, a great representative of the Steelers and everything. But there comes a time, we talked about it, is he on the decline? I mean, we saw last season was one of his lesser seasons, especially later in the season. He was a ghost, to be quite honest, when that losing streak really kicked in, when we really needed him the most. And you can't blame the postseason lack of successes on one player, let alone T.J. Watt, an edge rusher. But he hasn't made that difference, right? That whereas he has in these regular season games, he makes a huge play here, a huge play there to win the game for the Steelers. We just haven't seen that. I can't recall in any Steelers playoff games, and he was hurt for the Buffalo one for the most part. Just not performing at his best in the playoffs as well, which is apparently what the Steelers, they think they're going deep in the playoffs this year, right? I mean, Aaron Rodgers, they're all in on 2025, so they expect to go deep in the playoffs. But again, it's not a surprising move. It ends those rumors and the gossip and the drama that was surrounding it, and it kind of, I guess, allows the Steelers to pivot to training camp and get everybody set, getting Aaron and the newcomers on offense to learn the offense, the newcomers like Jalen Ramsey on defense to learn that defense a little bit, and kind of just move forward. So in that case, that's good. There's closure there one way or another. But I would have liked early on, you trade George Pickens. If T.J. Watt was asking me for top of the, and this is not only edge rushers, which I think based on last season, there are a couple that performed better than T.J. Watt. This is among, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, among these wide receivers who I think changed the game just as much as those impactful edge rushers do. So it's a little much for me. It's a little much. But I understand why T.J. Watt wants to be paid top of the market. But I look around and I say, who are the best non-quarterback players in the league? And T.J. Watt wouldn't be at the top for me at this point. I mean, maybe a couple years ago he would have been, but even then I probably would have had him 2 or 3. But now especially, and now he's only getting older, right? We talk about this. He's only getting older. And so I could see this contract really biting the Steelers in the butt. But I think T.J. Watt, too, I think he's heard the noise a little bit about his underperformance in the end of the regular season last season. I think he could come in with, he's paid now, that's past him, just play football. Hopefully he stays healthy. Again, too, he's had some injury history a little bit. I remember his pec. He's every year it feels like he has something that's kind of nagging him that might even lessen his performance. So hopefully those injuries don't crop up during this contract. So I think it could go poorly, but it also could be a fine contract in the end, especially there's going to be somebody getting paid in this offseason or next offseason, paid even more than T.J. Watt and set the market even higher. So, but we kind of, it's not, I'm not floored or anything. I'm not shocked. I'm not I'm not celebrating like we just won the Super Bowl. It's not a surprising result, but it is noteworthy, obviously, which is why we're leading off the show. It's very important for the Steelers to figure out what direction they're going in, and they've decided with T.J. Watt. So
I want to reiterate a couple things briefly. My issue with our issue with this contract, it's not the player for me. It's not, oh, has he not showed up in the playoffs? Oh, his injuries. I don't care about that. The reason the Steelers' defense stinks in the playoffs is not because of T.J. Watt. It's because they constantly get out schemed. It has nothing. I'm not saying that T.J. Watt's maybe he has some blame there, but that's not the issue for me with this contract. The issue is if this team was consistently a top 3, top 5 defense and was great in the playoffs, right? I have no problem with it. But they're not good enough on defense with T.J. Watt. And I'm not saying that that's his fault. I'm not saying that. But not only that, they constantly have to retool every year since Big Ben. They have to retool every year on offense. Whether it's a new, drafting a quarterback, signing Russell Wilson, signing Aaron Rodgers. You have to find these young receivers, and then they don't work out. The offensive line has been a mess because they're spending so much on defense, and they're not good enough on defense, even though they spend so much on it. It also costs the offense from constantly having to get younger and figure out what the heck they're doing on the fly, and they can't do that. They can't figure it out, and you can't be overrated on defense and spending all this money and not good enough on offense in an offensive league. You just can't win like that. And my second thing, or third thing, whatever you want to call it, in this little mini rant here, people are saying, well, the Steelers, they were all in with all these moves and it would look bad. And yes, it would look bad. But I think that the Steelers could get the same results they're probably going to get this year without T.J. Watt, and that may be a hot take. But look, they have Alex Highsmith, who they gave all this money to. They have Nick Herbig, who is everyone touts how great he is. He could easily be a starter. Now you just brought in Jack Sawyer into the mix. So now the Steelers do lose a lot of games without T.J. Watt, but if the other edge rushers that are on this team are so good, then why couldn't they, go 10-7 this year or 9-8 without T.J. Watt? So when I look at it from that perspective, I'm like, well, would it have mattered that much? I don't know. I mean, whether he was with them or not. I mean, you could go all in without going all in a way. They could have traded T.J. Watt. I don't want to hear that, they just couldn't do it. They could have done it. You can't just say, because this is what the fans want. I don't want to hear that.
Yeah, you kind of want to base your whole entire thought process on the fans. I think a lot of GMs kind of tie into that. And hopefully that wasn't the reason why they extended T.J. Watt. I hope it's rather because they feel like he can help them win now more than, the fans are pressuring me, so we have to do it. I hope that's not the case. I hope they did it because they wanted to do it. So.
Yeah, Peyton, you made a great point about I was trying to avoid bashing the coaching staff in this in my answer initially, but yeah, a lot of it does fall in coaching.
I didn't say any coaches' names. I didn't say anything about coaching.
Yeah, I understand. But you said coach. You were saying the coaching, the scheme. You were saying the defensive scheme. Yeah, but who creates the scheme?
Well, they obviously are getting out coached. I mean, yeah. Okay. I'm just not mentioning any names. Is all.
Yeah. But I mean, it is true. It's the elephant in the room. It's what nobody really wants to talk about. I didn't want to talk about this time because I've been talking about it so much. But yeah, no, it is the scheme has not been. It's gotten easier and easier for these offensive coordinators and head coaches to out-scheme. And I do think you're right. I think in the last couple of years, T.J. Watt's, he's had putting up really great stats, really good stats. Has it been worth as much as it used to, right? Because it still hasn't been the greatest defense, and he's putting up these tremendous numbers. Right, it's the highest paid defense, and they're when it matters most against the best teams. Which, when you pay a defense that much, you're paying the defense to stop the best teams in the
Right.
biggest moments, and it's not happening. And that's right, like you mentioned, it's not all on T.J. Watt. It's not even mostly. It's not even. I mean, it's just a little bit on T.J. Watt, I guess, just like it's on every player on that defense, but it does show more of an issue beyond T.J. Watt, where maybe this contract isn't worth it because he might maybe puts up the greatest numbers for the Steelers. Maybe he bounces back from the end of last season or something, and he puts up tremendous T.J. Watt numbers. He has a great impact in the statistical categories, but the defense is the same as it was at the end of last season, just not getting it done, right? Then did that contract really work out? I think you'd still say it probably worked out because of the statistical numbers, but it didn't work out in terms of improving your team to the level that maybe it should have, just because maybe the other guys on the field on that defense weren't living up to it, or the scheme just wasn't working. It really hasn't been working for a little while now, and that'll be interesting to see if there is a pivot from that coaching staff to try something new and get the best out of all these guys.
They need to move him around. Looking into this year, though, they need the issue with why T.J. Watt wasn't as good last year, and as he gets older, is because they're not moving around. Teams, every week a team plays the Steelers. What is the first thing they're looking at? How do we stop
Doubling
number
Watt.
90?
Yeah.
How do we stop him? And he constantly stays on the right side, or I forget which side it is. They need to move him around. They need to be more creative and finding ways to get him to get to the quarterback more. Because we know how much of an impact he has in the run game, but he wasn't as much involved in the passing game as he has been in past years. So they need to find a way to move him around when you're paying him all this money and as he gets older. So, and I'll say this one final point. It's two of the best defenses last year, the Rams and the Eagles, are very young and inexpensive, right? So it goes to show you can have a great defense and not spend, all this money. Their expenses are more on the offensive side, and those teams are very successful on defense without spending much because they draft really well, and they continue to draft very well, and they don't have to sign players for multiple contracts.
Well, if you look at it this way, look the last time the Steelers were successful in the playoffs, or at least to a degree. I mean, their offense was what won them games.
Right.
They had a very good quarterback, top running back, top receiver in the league. Their offensive line was very good and very experienced. Like, that just shows how, the NFL has pivoted, and it seems like, and while you want to have a very highly paid defense, they have to show up whenever the offense isn't maybe as up to par. So.
Yeah, I 100% agree, Jake. And Peyton, you made a great point about the Rams and the Eagles. What do? They know also not only they draft and develop well, and I think the Steelers do that well. We've seen that on the defensive side. They've developed some really good defensive players, but they know when to let go and to just draft another. Maybe let him go. He's going to want top of the market money. Let's let him go because we can draft somebody else, develop him. He won't be making as much. We can devote that money to the offensive side, and our defense might not even lose a beat, right? So it's about just getting up to speed with the modern NFL, and I think it just harkens back to that point. The Steelers are still behind the eight ball in that regard. I mean, they're still doing things kind of the old-fashioned way, which can work,
Steeler
but it
for
can
life.
work too.
Everybody's got to be a Steeler for life.
Yeah, and you like seeing that kind of loyalty. We like that in Pittsburgh and everything, but there comes a point where winning has to matter more. Where's my towel's over there. I don't want to.
Where mine is at.
My towel's. I'm locked in over here, but I'm waving it right here. Just imagine it right there. But yeah. Anything else on that? It was some really good points you guys made.
I think we summed it up very well.
Yeah, I agree.
I really do.
All right, so that was the breaking news. It just went down 10-15 minutes before we hopped on here.
Perfect timing.
Perfect time. I'm glad, Jake. I think you were the one who saw that. Perfect. Great job seeing that, because if we didn't see that, we would have just.
My mom saw it first.
Yeah, I didn't see
saw
the
it
news.
first.
Yeah.
My mom,
that's
shout
right.
out.
I'm sorry.
I saw the
Shout
amount
out.
of money he got. That was
Shout out Peyton's
basically-
mom. Yeah, you're right. I saw Jake, you were like looking at it. I see you got like the
Yeah.
alerts. But yeah, shout out Peyton's mother for coming up clutch there, because we may have went on and not even seen that till after. So glad we were able to talk about that for a good 25 minutes there. But want to pivot here to some baseball. This was kind of the baseball week. Nothing really going on other
This is the
than
deadest
some
period in
MLB.
sports right now. The
It is.
Wednesday and
Yeah, it
Thursday
is.
after the All-Star break. That's all.
And then in the
every
week,
year.
it's going to be some craziness. I'm
Wait,
so
are you not
excited.
watching? You're not watching NBA Summer League? Are you not staying up till 1 in the morning watching? Oh my gosh! So there was some bad basketball being played last. I was watching at like 12:30, and I was watching the Wizards without Bub Carrington. Bub
Oh, I
Carrington
saw
was just-
that.
Yeah.
He was just on the.
You know what?
He was in a nice shirt. He was like wasn't playing in the game because he's established. He played a couple games, but.
I was flipping the channels last night. I was like, what the heck's on? And I saw that. It was like the Wizards and someone was winning by 20. I forget who it was. But
Yeah, Wizards and the Jazz,
then I went
but
to I went to Fox and watched Seinfeld.
okay, that's a very respectable
Desperation.
course of action after.
Yeah.
But yeah, nothing, like you said, Peyton, really nothing going on right now after the draft and the home run derby and the All-Star game. We want to start, though, talk about the draft. The Pirates picked 6th in the draft, and they started out, they made the selection of, I think, the consensus best available player on the board overall, just regardless of position, Seth Hernandez, the right-handed pitcher out of Corona, California, I believe, the high school prep pitcher, whose stuff looks really good and everything. A lot of people are saying may have the best talent of this draft, but someone on this podcast questioned that just because, completely understandably, going the high school pitcher route, someone who's not going to be here for several years, not addressing that hitting position, just any hitters at all, early on, especially not with a college bat or anything until a little bit later on. Just going, I feel like at that point, like, we all thought the Pirates were going to go Seth Hernandez, one way, or whether we liked it or not, just because his name was floated around, and there were reports that if he was still around at 6, the Pirates would jump at that opportunity. Even though Ivar Arquette, the Oregon State, that's the Oregon State shortstop, right? Ivar Arquette, he fell right to the Marlins in the next pick. But what are your guys' reactions, Jake? I know you're high on Arquette. What were your reactions? I think Arquette looks really good as well. So, what are your reactions to what the Pirates did?
Yeah, so obviously, like you mentioned, I'm a big Arquette guy. I was hoping that the Pirates would go with him. Actually, I was excited whenever the Angels took Tyler Bremner, because I was like, hey, that makes it easier for Arquette to follow the Pirates, just because they took someone that, like, sort of unexpected. But yeah, no, like, I was, whenever I was watching, I was like, Seth Hernandez is available. I heard his name. Like, if he's available, the Pirates will pick him. So whenever it was between those two, I figured the Pirates would go Seth Hernandez. And obviously, I was disappointed at first. Hernandez is a fantastic player. It's not because I thought he's not going to be good, but I was so high on Arquette that, that for a second I was like, oh man, like I really wanted this guy. But Hernandez, he looks very good. Like, he had a phenomenal high school season. Not that matters to the degree. You more look at stuff and potential than you really do statistically, but he looked fantastic. And this was pretty much like, hey, not only are we getting the best player available, arguably the best pitcher in the draft, if all things considered, who has the highest potential. But assuming we're not going to keep Skeens long term, this guy's going to come up and could potentially be his replacement. I mean, I know you don't want to look that far if you're Ben Cherington, especially with everything that's going on and all the, like, criticism he's received by the fan base. But I think that, no, it makes sense. And Cherington made up with that with drafting a lot of college hitting afterwards. Like, he went heavy on the college hitting route. And I think we'll talk about it later, but there are a couple guys I really like a lot that he picked later on. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But, like, after keeping a cool, calm, collective thought process through the whole first round, I can't complain about the draft. I mean, assuming no matter if management, whatever, even if they're not still there by the time Hernandez is up, you still got Hernandez, Bubba Chandler. Like that could be a very good 1-2 punch if they're not assuming they won't be able to have Skeens long term. So I have no problem with that at all. As long as, or as much as I liked Arquette, I have no problem with taking Hernandez there at all.
I agree with Jake Bell, pretty much, and both of you guys. My first reaction was this. I wasn't like excited about it because all it told me in my mind was that Ben Sherrington obviously thinks his job is secure, because if he didn't, this is the only bad part of it. If he didn't, right, he'd be going after a college bat to get up here as soon as possible, and to rise through the ranks. But he did go with the best player available, and it was the right pick. And I think this kid honestly could be up here faster than we anticipate, even though he's a high school pitcher. Like, he's one of the best high school pitching prospects people have said they've ever seen. So it was the right pick. I'm happy with the pick, but I just hope it doesn't mean that Ben Sherrington is sticking around. I think the last 2 years, it looks like he's made the right pick. I'm not completely sold on Connor Griffin, but I think he had the most potential out of probably a lot of options that were available. The thing I was actually more disappointed in, like, I like the Hernandez pick. In the second round, though, but this is what I really don't understand, and this kind of shit tells me, like, because, yes, he did take college bats, but, like, the first 2 rounds are, like, when you can find the most talent. I mean, that's kind of obvious. And especially, like, the first 4 or 5 rounds, like, and then after that it gets kind of weak. But the second round, there was a kid, Delman Young's brother, Quentin Young, or not brother, nephew, or something like that, was somehow related to Delman Young, has a really nice swing, really good hit tool. He's a high school kid. I would have liked to see the Pirates draft him at 50, but then they went with another high school pitcher, and I don't understand, like, because they have drafted so many pitchers, and I understand that they did eventually go down the college bat route, but it's, like, still this obsession with getting so many pitchers, and it's just like, how many more pitchers do we need? And I understand the draft is different. I'm okay with the Hernandez pick. A little more disappointed. I like the Hernandez pick. More disappointed the second round pick. I don't know what his name was, but why are we picking back-to-back high school pitchers in the first 2 rounds? Obviously, the rounds with the most talent, obviously, but their bats, the other bats they got on day 1. Easton Carmichael, I don't think he has a big hit tool. What I did find interesting, Easton Carmichael is a catcher. I believe they drafted 1 or 2 other catchers. The fact that they were drafting catchers, obviously, I think tells me that they're a little nervous about Henry Davis as a hitter, and they want to have, you know, some more backup plans in the minor leagues. And it's obviously good to restock on every position, but I did find that interesting. You don't see a lot of teams take 2 or 3 catchers in a draft. Not all the time. I mean, occasionally. Here, I'm not exactly sure, but this Murph Gray, I know Jake was talking about before. I mean, he's interesting. He's big. I don't know how great of a hitter he's going to be, but definitely the frame is interesting as a shortstop. And I'm looking right now at some film of this Gustavo Melendez. And he's 5'8", 160 pounds. So not that big, and he's a high school kid. But they said his hit tool is extremely impressive. And I kind of like the swing here too. I'm actually watching it as I'm talking. And it's interesting. So, not a terrible draft. And we got to talk about, I'll pass that on to Nate, Jared Jones and Jake Bell. I want to hear your guys' thoughts on some other guys, including Jared Jones, that you thought were interesting as well.
Yeah, Jake Bell, go ahead, talk about Jared Jones a little bit. Obviously, he's a guy who has crazy power, but is prone a little bit to the strikeout. But give us your thoughts a little bit on Jared Jones, a very familiar name for the Pittsburgh Pirates organization.
Yeah, if it's cool with you guys, I kind of want to talk a little bit about Murph Gray as well after Jared Jones.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
Please.
Jared Jones, honestly, that was pretty much the definition of low risk, high reward. I mean, they drafted him in the ninth round. He was ranked as the 101st prospect, I think.
Yeah.
If we would have drafted him in the third round, I would have been like, okay, maybe, I know we want some college hitters, but there's a lot of things about him that make you a little bit nervous as an MLB hitter. But they drafted him in the ninth round, and that makes it a lot more interesting because now there's not so much pressure on him to perform at this high level. There's not so much pressure on the Pirates for him to do well. I think this couldn't have been a better selection for them in the ninth round. I mean, he has obvious power. We obviously know his strikeout issues, but I feel like if you can just have him attack but be a smart, aggressive hitter, I mean, I feel like he could potentially rise through the MLB to the minor leagues fast through the MLB, but that all depends on if he's willing to work and he's willing to maybe cut down on those strikeout issues. But he's definitely a very interesting player, so I'm excited to see what he can do. As for Murph Gray, I really like him a lot. I feel like they see him more as a third base replacement, assuming they're going to trade Hayes, just because I feel like his frame fits that better than maybe shortstop. So I think that's an interesting thing to kind of put that in perspective. But I like him a lot. He doesn't walk to the highest degree, but he doesn't strike out very much. He only struck out maybe, like on average, once every other game in college. So, like looking at the other guys getting drafted, especially if you look at Jared Jones, you'll take that any day, and I feel like that can translate well into the MLB level. I mean, if you have a guy only striking out 100 to 120 times in a season, that's not bad at all nowadays. And I feel like if he could, at least display that and maybe he's a guy that can hit the ball a lot more, maybe put the ball in play a lot more. I mean, I feel like that's someone that Matt Haig can work with because he's very big on being aggressive, putting the ball in play, stuff like that. And I think Murph Gray can provide that. And I think he can tap into that power as well. I don't know what kind of ceiling he has, but he's definitely an interesting player and a guy that makes sense that he's the first college bat that they drafted is the guy that could potentially work in the Matt Haig system. So it's cool to see that Cherington kind of doubled down on that philosophy, and it's not more of what we saw with Shelton and maybe Andy Haynes as well. So I'm glad to see that the first guy that they drafted kind of fits into that mold, and we'll just have to see how well he does.
Yeah, my only concern with going back to Jared Jones, I mean, he was the number 101 draft prospect, and he fell to 263.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of concerning, but
why not in the ninth round?
He was a guy that was talked about. I mean, that LSU team won the national championship, and he was a big part of that. So certainly, at that pick, it's not bad value at all.
No, absolutely. I agree. It's very low risk, but potentially high reward, especially if you can just cut down a little bit on those strikeouts. But I think people are out. Immediately, when I thought about the kind of player that he is, you think of somebody the Pirates just released, like Matt Gorski, who has like that power tool, but strikes out a bunch. But I like Jones' swing. I think it's a lot kind of cleaner than even Matt Gorski's. I think it's just fluid right to the baseball.
And Matt Gorski was a second-round pick, not a ninth-round pick. So.
Right, so I think he does have a chance of being clean up those strikeouts to be a really good contributor. Now he's probably a DH, maybe first in the future as a major leaguer, but like you said, there's no risk involved taking somebody in the ninth round, and I understand he fell kind of considerably, but sometimes that just happens. I mean, there wasn't anything he did from now to the draft that could prompt that, I don't think, so I don't know, not quite sure why the drop by so much. But yeah, the Murph Gray, I do like that. Somebody who, I think he can stay at third base. People are saying maybe he's more suited for first, but it seems like he has a pretty good arm as well. And if he can provide a little bit of power at that position and some average as well, I love to see him. I mean, you look at the minor leagues, there's nobody that jumps out as a potential third base replacement for Ke'Bryan Hayes. I think we'd all like to see Nick York get a chance at some point this season to show kind of what he's got. But I think Murph Gray was a nice pick as well at 73. And I like the numbers he put up at Fresno State. I like his 6'4", 230. That's pretty good. That's what you like to see. And so I think it did go for the Pirates pitcher heavy, obviously, with the first 2 picks, Hernandez and Angel Cervantes, the 50th pick for the Pirates. Prep pitchers, high school pitchers nonetheless as well. But I think I do like the overall approach of some more established college hitters as well. Easton Carmichael, I think I like him a little better than Peyton from an average standpoint. I mean, he did put up pretty good numbers average-wise at Oklahoma. I think he's going to hit 330. With the Pirates, of course not. But I don't think he's going to be the worst in terms just a kind of glove first or whatever with some power kind of catcher.
He kind of reminds me of Dalton Varsho a lot, just because I feel like he's going to transition into an outfielder because of his speed, and some question marks about his defense at catcher.
Oh wow, that's interesting. I mean, you'd take that.
Yeah.
I mean, especially if you get that defense like Varsho. Nobody's saying. I mean, Varsho's one of the best center fielders defensively, but I mean that kind of player that would be a nice value pick for the Pirates, especially in the 3rd round as well. But it is interesting, Peyton, assuming Carmichael would stay at catcher, kind of the catcher-heavy draft that the Pirates did have, although maybe they did see that positional versatility with Carmichael. But overall, I thought it was a really nice draft. I think if they got Arquette, I would not have been angry at all. I think he was. I like his 6'5". I mean, you don't see that 6'5" shortstops too often, since other than O'Neal Cruz or something. But we see shortstop is so valued in the game of baseball. We always see the top draft picks every year are those high school pitchers, some of those really high velocity college arms, and high school shortstops. And a lot of them got taken. But he's a college guy who improved every year. Played really well for Oregon State this past year. I wouldn't have been angry at all if the Pirates had drafted him. But I think Hernandez looks really good and has the potential to be a really, really good player and stalwart of that Pirates rotation. Maybe he does get to the big leagues sooner than a typical high school pitcher would. But any other thoughts, you guys? Do you think it was a pretty good draft, or what do we think from the Pirates? I know pitcher heavy at the top, but then some very interesting college bats like Jones and Carmichael and Murph Gray.
I still think from.
Sorry, I was just gonna say I can't complain about it for the most part. So.
I still think from an offensive perspective, just looking at some of these guys, I always talk about that Melendez. Like, he looks interesting, but with your 4th round pick to pick a 5'8" shortstop, like, I don't know, they always just get these guys who are like utility more so than hit tool. I think I really wish they would have taken that young kid in the 2nd round. I think overall it's a little better than their last year's class, but I'd give it like a C+, B- kind of thing, because I think the Hernandez pick was the right pick. So
I'd say somewhere around there. I would probably give it a B, just a B or something like that. I think would be somewhere. I mean, it wasn't a slam dunk A draft or anything, but again, it's hard to grade these drafts. We don't know how all these players are going to develop. We still don't know. We think Connor Griffin could be excellent, but you still don't know until they're in the big leagues, right? So it's kind of hard to gauge the MLB draft, maybe more so than any other draft, just because of the road to the show being a little bit longer and some stops in some minor league parks and all this different stuff. But good, that was good discussion there about the draft. I want to move to the home run derby, which there's many takes you can have on. There was some ups, I think, definitely some really cool moments, and there were some things where you kind of scratch your head in terms of maybe some of the rules that are kind of antiquated, I think, in the derby at this point. Some of ESPN early on being goofy, but what are you guys' thoughts on the draft? O'Neal Cruz, not the draft, the home run derby. Obviously, O'Neal Cruz put on a show. While he was in there, he didn't win, but I was saying this yesterday. I think when people look back on this derby 5 years, 10 years down the road, what they will remember more than anything probably is O'Neal Cruz hitting those moonshots. I mean, you might remember Cal Raleigh. Steelers, yes. We're very...
No, we're waiting. O'Neal Cruz, he hang the banner 5-10 years from now. He's going to
Solidarity.
be the most memorable of the home run derby in 2025. That's our hang the banner moment.
Solidarity with O'Neal Cruz here in Pittsburgh, but I do think, I mean, it was certainly memorable for me. It was the best, certainly the best performance by a Pirate in the home run derby, and he definitely put on a show. But what are your guys' thoughts on Cruz, on the derby overall? What you liked, what you didn't like, or whatnot?
Yeah, it was an interesting home run derby for sure. I mean, Cruz put on a show. I mean, could have won in different circumstances for sure. But I know a lot of people were kind of criticizing the MLB with the whole Cal Raleigh, Brent Rooker thing. I understand that. I think maybe it should have been handled a little bit differently, but it would be easier to say this if Cal Raleigh didn't just absolutely destroy the next round. Like, you know, if Cal Raleigh would have went to the next round, hit 5 home runs, like, I think it would have been much of a bigger kind of letdown by the MLB. But since he did dominate, you know, it is what it is there. I mean, as much as I would like maybe the winner to be handled different, I feel like Raleigh would have won regardless based on how well he did. So I just kind of wanted to mention that because I know that's been a lot of the criticism with the MLB. But overall, it was pretty cool. I mean, we saw a lot of new faces in the home run derby that maybe we didn't expect to see. Some I thought Byron Buxton, for example, did a fantastic job. I know he has a lot of that, like, kind of like that hidden power. He has like a huge frame, but maybe we don't see it as much because of injury and everything. But he put on a show. I thought he did very well, and overall, I thought it went about how much I expected. Maybe a little bit better because we saw O'Neal Cruz do very well, and we saw Cal Raleigh kind of win that home run derby that he wanted to win his entire life. So I thought overall it was a pretty cool event for the All-Star game this year.
Well, I got some complaints. I mean, this isn't a surprise. I always have complaints. But I thought overall, in terms of the amount of home runs being hit and the star power of the event, it was a little weaker this year. Especially when Ronald Acuna dropped out, and I understand why. Matt Olson, I think he's one of a handful of guys who are very underrated. But Ronald Acuna is Ronald Acuna. I feel like just the star power wasn't quite there. I think the whole theme of the whole All-Star Week was showcasing young stars, and I think the Derby did that in some ways. But it would have been nice to have an Acuna or an Alonso or a Judge in there. You know, like somebody who's just more established and everybody knows. And I'm looking at it. We obviously know all of those guys, but I'm looking at it from the casual fan perspective. And again, the amount of home runs hit wasn't that impressive. I mean, there are some years where there's like 25 to 30 home runs hitting around, and you just don't see that as much. Now, it may be because of the clock, and I'm going to get to that in a second, but I thought it was just a little weaker this year. I mean, and Jazz Chisholm, everyone, though, did fairly respectable. Jazz Chisholm should have never been in it. I think they were just kind of they were kind of down bad for people this year. I mean, the fact that O'Neal Cruz got in it, they normally let all-stars into the event, and O'Neal Cruz, I mean, I think they wanted him to do it in the future, but I think he probably ended up doing it a year sooner than probably most people expected. So I don't have like too much of a problem with all that. My main complaint, obviously, I've been saying this for several years now. Why aren't the rounds the same? Okay, it's not matchup based in the first round. The top 4 get in, and then the second round it's matchup based. So like Junior Caminero, he had a very good home run derby performance. I don't think a lot of people talked about him. He made it to the final, but he had an advantage there over Cal Raleigh, I thought, in the end, because he was so well rested. He only had to hit for 30 seconds, and it was over because Byron Buxton, I'm talking about in the semifinal, Byron Buxton hit 7 home runs. He struggled, and so Caminero hit 8, and it was over. And it's like the show's over with him. And it was just like kind of like, I want to see more home runs. And I want to let everyone and the fans and the players enjoy the home runs. Why does everything have to be sped up? Why do we have a 3-minute clock? And these guys get worn out. And in a way, I think it does risk injury. I think that's why a lot of guys don't do it. because it may re-aggravate things, because you're going and going and going and going for 3 minutes, and then you have a short rest, and then you're back at it again. And it's just like, why do we have a clock on everything? Just give everyone the same amount of pitches. Let the fans enjoy. There's no rush. And I know that baseball is in the era of we want to speed everything up. But this is an event. In the regular season, I understand that and I agree with that. But this is an event we want everyone to enjoy. And we want the players to have a good time. We want everyone to have a good time. It's like, why is there's got to be a clock on everything? And then obviously my biggest complaint is what you mentioned. The Cal Raleigh Brent Rooker no swing off. Now, I do agree with you, Jake. I think the fact that Cal Raleigh was so dominant in those last 2 rounds definitely makes me feel better about it. But it's like, first of all, you have to understand, StatCast has to, people have to take into consideration that StatCast has to have some sort of margin of error. There's no way that they're getting it right to the decimal point. There is absolutely no way.
That fast, too. Like, that fast.
If it's 470, you have the swing off. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what the decimal says. You have to have the swing off. The only reason you would go to a decimal is if you would have a 3-person tie, right? That's the only reason you would have it. And so I kind of felt bad. I love Brett Rooker, obviously, so I'm a little biased, but I kind of felt bad. I kind of felt like, like, what's the hurry? Again, that kind of goes back to my main point. What's the hurry? Let the swing off happen. Now, obviously, we got to see the swing off in the All-Star game. We got to see how cool that was. So maybe they'll be more inclined to do a swing off in the home run derby next year and not go to decimal points.
Yeah, no, I agree with what both of you said. I think they should have done a swing off of some sort. Again, if it's tied, if both hit home runs of 450 feet, I don't care what if it's the same number, regardless of decimal. I don't think even if it's within a couple feet, I think there should be a swing off. I think the fans like that. Again, yeah, where are you going? Where nothing's going on a Monday night during the home run derby. With all due respect to our beloved NBA Summer League, but yeah, no, and I think I want to touch on this too because I think people got over it, and I certainly did as well as it went on.
Oh,
but
yes.
I just think ESPN didn't set the tone as well as they could have. People were angry that McAfee was the intro guy, introducing everybody. I didn't have an issue.
I
with
loved
that.
it. I thought it was fun.
I liked it. It had that Yinzer flair, so
He obviously did beforehand. It wasn't like he was in there blindfolded, not knowing what how to pronounce these guys' names, what they're known for, stuff like that. So I mean, he did his research. He did a good job.
You know what was hilarious? I don't know if you guys caught this, but when he was announcing Odell Cruz, he went, and from the Pittsburgh Pirates, he almost said from the Pittsburgh Steelers. And it was the funniest thing in the world. It was like, and then they said, when they announced Byron Buxton, he was like, and he had a cycle, who was the guy next to him? What's his name? The short guy? Who was the guy doing it with him? He's on his show. I forget his name.
I don't remember his name either.
Byron Buxton. Yeah. Anyway, he said Byron Buxton had a cycle against your Pittsburgh Pirates. And Pat McAfee said, I don't like that. Here's Byron Buxton. So I think as Pittsburgh people, I think we really, really enjoyed it because they were bringing the Yinzer to Atlanta. And I think the other dude, he was like, at one point he said power. He's got power. So that was pretty cinema right there.
Yeah, so I didn't have an issue.
I didn't need to go
on
that rant.
No, you're fine. No, I mean, yeah, because it's ESPN. What did you expect? It's ESPN. He's employed by ESPN. It's the ESPN Home Run Derby. What do you And it wasn't like you guys mentioned. It wasn't like he came in there and didn't know these players' names. It was mispronouncing them and brought kind of an unprofessionalism that kind of would disrespect the Derby and Major League Baseball. He talks about baseball. It's not his sport, obviously. His main sport's football. But he showed a lot of passion about it. It looked like he was having a good time. He wasn't forced to be there. He enjoyed it there. So I don't understand kind of the criticism there. I think people just are tired of McAfee on everything. But don't watch then. Don't watch. All right? We don't need that negative energy. But the ESPN brought some actual negative energy when not only did they go multiple angles there with showing the pitcher throwing to the home run hitter, but the angle also of just half the screen showing the home runs. Not only that, but early on, I mean, it's kind of a joke. The cameramen just had no idea where these balls were, so you see them just flipping, or you just see the camera going up in the air and everything, and then they zoom in on like random people because they don't know where the ball is. They tried to zoom in on where the ball what they thought would be. So early on, that wasn't the greatest, but they kind of righted the ship after that. You got used to kind of the multiple angle kind of thing as we went on. But yeah, I agree. I do think Raleigh was a much deserved winner. I think it wasn't the most memorable of home run derbies. We talked about this. We'll remember just because Cruz was there and he did fairly well, put on a good show. But it was kind of a young stars thing. It would have been nice if Acuna was in there. I like Acuna. I think baseball is a lot better as a sport with him. I think he's one of the more unique players in baseball just because.
But we don't want him getting hurt again either. We don't want that.
That's you don't want that for sure, especially the Braves who maybe still think they have a little tiny bit of hope, maybe false hope, to make the playoffs. But he was kind of the first leadoff hitter. He was even like a little bit before Phillies started putting Schwarber at that leadoff, and I think Schwarber did a little bit with Washington. I can't remember, but that leadoff guy that could hit for power and that could provide that instant offense. He was one of the first guys, maybe the first guy, to be put in that role. But so it would have been nice to see him there, and he has that flair. He's a very cool dude, so would have been nice to see him there. But Matt Olson, we love Matt Olson. He's a pro's pro, and he just does his stuff, just like kind of Freddie Freeman, the guy who kind of replaced in Atlanta, just kind of does his thing, hits pretty well, but just doesn't talk and talk about it and everything and be a part of headlines and stuff. But overall, I thought it was pretty good. I do think it is kind of stupid. You have 8 in the first round, the top 4 advance, but then for some reason in the semifinals you don't do there's 4 in there, the top 2 advance. I don't quite understand why it's matchup based in a home run derby to begin with, other than the final 2. But so maybe they could fix that. But other than that, I thought it was certainly interesting. It certainly caught my attention and all our attentions for that evening. Anybody paying
the camera angle I got used to, but yeah, it was a little weird there. I don't know.
It was weird for
that split screen. Let's just keep the screen whole. But honestly, I thought they were following the ball better as the night went on, so it was okay. I got used to it.
Yeah, I think it was it was more so the camera guys just struggled a little bit early on. It's like because with the split screen, you can still see the ball when the camera angle is good and everything, and the camera's on the ball. You can see the ball going wherever it's going and everything. It's just when it's split screen and the camera guy has no idea where the ball is, then you have no idea where the ball is. So it kind of gets heightened there. But let's move on
I just do want to say though, Cal Raleigh, I think, is such a deserved champion. I think he's becoming one of the more beloved players, one of the kind of an underdog story. You got his dad, his brother there, and his swing is so smooth now. It's just like, and he's constantly getting the ball in the air like he was. It was amazing, and like the thing with O'Neal Cruz and some of these guys, especially O'Neal Cruz, and we even saw this in the first round, even though he had a great first round, is his swing just isn't designed properly to get the ball in the air enough, and he constantly was hitting it down and on a line, and where Cal Raleigh was constantly able to get lift on the ball, and that was the difference, I think, and for Cal Raleigh. And I think I just love that he was the champ. I think there was a select few guys like I wanted to see and like win, and I'm glad that he won. I think he's an American champion, America's champion, Cal Raleigh. Raleigh. I keep saying Raleigh, and Nate keeps correcting me on that.
Yeah, I've been like smirking because you keep saying you emphasize it too, like rally. You're like rally.
We rally for
Rally.
Like Rally House, or like our good friend works at Rally House.
Okay.
Now, is it Raleigh? Is it Raleigh, North Carolina, or Raleigh, It's Raleigh. So it's like Raleigh, North Carolina. Okay.
That's what I was telling him yesterday because he said Raleigh just a bunch of times. I'm like, let's not be disrespectful, but anyway.
Okay, buddy.
All right, let's move on. You've had your say. Let's move on to the All-Star game, which was very eventful. It ended up getting 7.2 million viewers. Oh shoot, my earbud pops out. On average, which is the most since 2017, I believe. Most viewership, like at the average. They because there's like a peak viewership, which was like 8 point something. They always do that, but it was about like 7.2, and you can understand why. It had a lot of really cool moments. Obviously, there were plenty of runs scored. The National League looked like it was going to be cruising to its rare recent All-Star Game victory. But then the AL comes storming back, led by our buddy, our good pal, Brent Rooker, whose 3-run homer really got things going for the AL and tipped the scales a little bit in their favor to get to potentially extra innings, or I guess overtime. It's basically overtime. It's not extra innings. But that swing off, which I saw some people didn't like it. I don't know how you could not like that. I think you don't want to you don't have the All-Star game be a tie, but you don't want to do a 10th inning with a runner on second or something in the All-Star game. I think the swing off was really cool. I think it would have been cool, if the American League had some better options other than maybe, Aranda and Arozarena, even though I didn't really care either way. I think it was just a cool moment for them in that spot. But how about Kyle Schwarber? I mean, we were talking about it. I mean, it's people don't understand, I think, or maybe they do, but I just want to make the point. It's so hard to hit homers regardless of if it's batting practice or not. And to do it just to get it in the air and everything, to do it 3 times in a row with your team kind of losing in that swing off, just to do it 3 times in a row, and you're not only tied, you're in the lead now. To put the pressure on the American League was clutch. And Kyle Schwarber, I mean, he has as much raw power as anybody in baseball. Pete Alonso, who didn't get his opportunity he didn't play in the home run derby and didn't get his opportunity in the swing off, had that homer earlier, which kind of made up for it in some ways. But obviously Paul Skeens goes 1 inning in the first scoreless. He didn't get the win. I don't know how he could have got the win. I don't really understand that. Usually if you're the first pitcher and you go 1 inning or a few innings, then the guy that pitches after you would qualify for the win and not you anyway, but I digress. But what were you guys' thoughts on the whole All-Star game? It was one of the better ones I've seen in recent years for sure. I think as those
That might be the best
ratings
I've
numbers,
ever seen, honestly.
well,
I think.
wow.
I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, but the ratings numbers obviously would indicate that a lot of maybe the more casual viewers were tuned into this, and maybe some people that aren't even baseball fans, but were tuning in because there's nothing else on. They don't want to watch G League players in the summer league, I guess. But what were your guys' initial thoughts?
This week is the Poodle Trimming Championships. Do you guys know that?
I don't know how you would know that.
No, it's a joke.
Oh, we have a good buddy.
We have an old friend of ours who talks about, do you want to watch a good football game or do you want to watch poodle trimming? He'll say.
Yeah, he'll say
and
that.
I said, we want to see sports. We want to see good content.
Yeah, nobody wants to watch poodle trimming, Peyton. Why would you even bring that up? We don't even want to watch poodle trimming. But what were your guys' thoughts on this All-Star game? Really, I think for Manfred, he couldn't ask for a better showing for Major League Baseball.
Yeah, I didn't watch the entirety of the All-Star game, but I really liked the first inning just because, Pirates are my favorite team, but the Tigers are my favorite American League team because I watch a lot of Seawolves guys go up to the MLB, and that's the Tigers Double-A. So it's cool seeing, guys like Torkelson and Green get called up. But anyway, I like seeing, Skeens against Skubal because it's my 2 favorite teams, the 2 best pitchers in baseball going up against each other. And it was cool just to see Skeens kind of just win that early battle because he dominated in Skubal, as rare as it is, did struggle in the first inning. So it was kind of cool.
John Smoltz was in his head. He was talking
yeah,
to him during the game.
True. But also, like, one thing I like, I know you can't do this in the game because you don't want guys getting distracted, but I love the idea of just miking guys up. What I would love them
They
to
actually
do,
have. They've done that in a regular season game. I saw it on a Sunday night baseball
I thought only
game,
spring
and I was
training. I didn't know
shocked.
they did it. Yeah. Oh, wow.
They do
I'm
it-
almost.
they-
They did it when they traded Raffy Devers. I was watching, and they were talking to Willie Adames, and I was like shocked
Wow.
during a regular season game.
Well, they do
Yeah.
it. They do it on ESPN. They do it like every week for Sunday baseball. They mic
Interesting.
somebody up.
I didn't know
Yeah.
that. But
I don't like
either
that,
way,
to be honest with you.
yeah, but either way, like,
During the regular
I think what
season.
would be a cool idea, maybe mic up every player. Don't, like, talk to them, but, like, say, like,
Right.
like for a local thing, if a guy hits a home run, maybe you know, go into his ear saying, you know, hey, you know, what you know, tell us about
Woohoo!
this. They
Great
say, oh, yeah,
job,
you know,
O'Neal
yeah, exactly.
Cruz.
Like, maybe you could see these guys hyped up, like, show personality. I think it would be cool. Maybe just to have that option where you can, like, whenever you want to, you can just go to them and say, hey, you know, what are your thoughts? But there have to be restrictions. You can't do it all the time. You can't do it as a surprise while, you know, someone's trying to track down the fly ball. But I think that would be a cool concept maybe to have,
And
to, like, have these guys show personality. So
In the NFL, they mic everybody up.
yeah,
but
exactly.
they don't-
That's
they
why I
don't
think it would
talk
be
to
a cool
them.
idea.
They should just, in the regular season, they should mic everyone up, or as like you have one player a game who's mic'd up,
Yeah.
right? You don't even have to do it every game, but it's a long season. But like for local broadcasts to do that, like I'd love to see the Pirates do that.
Yeah.
But I do love it during the All-Star game when they're talking to them. 'Cause it's an exhibition. Who cares? I love it, and I think it was so cool with Clayton Kershaw, with his last All-Star game. Him to get those 2 outs and the banter between him and John Smoltz was really, really cool. And I think, again, it was one of many great ways that the MLB is attracting, did a good job of attracting fans during this All-Star week. Jake, I don't know if you had anything else to add, but I just wanted to add on to that.
No, not at all. And it's cool to see because you see people who don't watch baseball, don't know anything about baseball, that say, oh, the sport's dying. And you see Cam Newton talk about how the women's basketball is going to overtake it. It's like, let's be real.
He doesn't know what he's talking. He's just
Yeah, I
saying
know.
random
The
stuff.
MLB is such a great brand just because they attract so many players from different countries.
It's international.
Exactly. Like, it's a very good brand to have. There's a reason why these players get paid all this money. It's not because the MLB is a dying sport. So, I mean, it is just cool to see how, like, greatly executed the All-Star game was from a viewership perspective, and then the gameplay itself. I thought it was great.
Yeah, Paul Skeens was way even more. I think more impressive than he was his first MLB All-Star game. Excuse me. For him to do back-to-back starts is obviously, you know, it's the word's not coming to me right now, but it's very special and very rare, and so I thought he looked really. His stuff looked really amped up, and what I love about the All-Star game, and what I love about how Paul Skeens and a lot of pitchers approached it was like, I'm gonna throw my best stuff at you, and you know, it's fun and just have fun. And Paul Skeens, 13 of his 14 pitches were fastballs right at you. Here, come and get it, and none of them could hit it. I mean, Aaron Judge had to hit a weak little grounder. I was hoping it would have been so cool if he struck out the side, and he almost did. Because if you remember last time, he didn't strike anyone out. And he was his fastball was just dominant. I mean, it was touching 100 pretty consistently. I think he was the first starting pitcher to have like 4 or more fastballs over 100 in an All-Star game. So the first starting pitcher. There's been plenty of relievers, I think, that have. I mean, that's more common with relievers than starting pitchers. I thought what really stood out to me was the Hank Aaron tribute. I thought that was just so cool. I don't know, they must have done it with the lights to get it on the field like that. And then to have the firecracker, which was the exact trajectory of the home run. And then his widow in the crowd. I thought that was just so well done. I mean, it probably was better on TV even than it was in person. I mean, I'm not even sure. But it was so cool to see that and to continue to honor the legends of the game. And obviously he was in Atlanta, so they would do that. But I think the game itself, obviously, I don't know if one of you guys mentioned this. The game itself was so cool, not only because of the gameplay and how the game turned out, which we'll get to that, but also because the original uniforms were back. It was more awesome than I anticipated. Like, the nostalgia of it was just so cool. And it's good, again, that helps the fans because then you know what team the players are from, right? Like, I think that was an obvious move they needed to make, and they did it. Another good move by the MLB. And then the ABS system, it kind of reminds me, I loved how that we finally got to see it in an MLB game. And I thought what was so cool about it kind of reminded me of tennis. Like, they zoom in on the ball on the scoreboard, and then they tell you the amount of inches. That's kind of like what they do in tennis, like if it's in or out. And I can't wait for that to be implemented. I don't understand why it wasn't this year, but hey, it's coming, right? It's coming. We know that. But that along with the gameplay itself, I mean, the NL to hit those homers and that instant offense that they had, and then the AL to come back the way they did. Brent Rooker with a big bomb, and then they have that ninth inning rally that they could have taken the lead had it not been for two outstanding plays by Matt Olson and Eugenio Suarez. But Steven Guan hits that little chopper, and as soon as he hit it, I knew he was safe because we know how fast he is. So, and obviously the swing, you talked about the swing off, but the swing off, what's interesting is it's so much pressure and it's so hard to hit 3-3 like Schwarber did. Because I think like the mistakes like Aranda and Arozarena made were like, and they were thinking about, they were pre-planning when to swing and when to not swing. And the guys who have the most success at that kind of thing, at a home run derby or a swing off, they treat it like a real game. Like, they make that split-second decision as if they were in the game. Okay, I'm loading. I see the pitch. Oh, now I'm going to swing. I'm going to take. Like, they make that decision as it happens. And I think, Aranda and Arozarena were kind of pre-planning it, and I think that was kind of the difference. And Schwarber and Alonso, I mean, they were, when I heard Schwarber and Alonso against Aranda and Arozarena, I was like, those are two of the best derby guys you could possibly have against a smaller player and like a Arozarena, and then a Aranda who's not really a power hitting, he's not a home run hitter. So the NL kind of had it in the bag when I heard that. But Brent Rooker, he did everything he could, but it just wasn't enough. So that's kind of like my recap. And then one final thing, Kyle Schwarber winning MVP. No one cares. Like, everyone felt like he deserved it. But Mets fans were mad. And they may have a technical point, because there was a rule stated that whenever the swing-off thing was created for ties in the All-Star game, that the MVP had to be based on what happened in the 9 innings. And it couldn't be based on whatever happened in the swing-off. So they thought Pete Alonso should have deserved it. Now, if Schwarber wouldn't have gone 3 for 3, and if Aranda would have just hit 1 home run, Alonso could have walked it off. But blame Jonathan Aranda more so than them not following the rules. I mean, I think everyone agrees that what Schwarber did deserved MVP.
Yeah, no, certainly was a very fun and exciting All-Star game. Don't really have anything to add. You guys really touched on everything. Good to see Chapman did get that inning, obviously getting that 9th inning with the game tied. Because who knows? I mean, he's up there in age. I mean, he's aging like fine wine because he's having one of his better seasons, I feel like, at the age of whatever he is, 36, 37. But they put in Shane Smith, the White Sox All-Star, and you can say whatever you want about Shane Smith, if he's quote-unquote deserving, but everybody got to have an All-Star rep. But he gets in the game, and you're wondering, well, is Shane Smith, this rookie, going to get in this game? And Aroldis Chapman isn't. And this could potentially be his final All-Star game. Although, the way he's pitching this year, you feel like he's still got a lot left in the tank. But it was good to see Chapman get out there. I think everybody enjoyed the All-Star festivities and the game itself. It was kind of funny. I didn't know this. It turns out those picks. Obviously, Aaron Boone was getting some criticism for having Aranda and Arozarena in there, but those 3 swing-off participants are pre-chosen before the game and everything. I think a lot of the ones that for the American League that you'd want in there left early and plan on leaving early. I didn't know this, so I don't really like that. I think you should. I mean, it's the All-Star game, and these guys are leaving in the 6th inning or something. It was good to see Tarek Skubal stayed, and he was watching the swing off at the end there without, he didn't have his uniform on, but with his buddies and everything. But I don't know. I feel like that's kind of lame. If you're like, now maybe if you've been an All-Star like 10 times or something, I got places to be. I want to enjoy my All-Star break. I'm out of here, and you're gone in the 6th inning. But I feel like if I were an All-Star, I want to take that whole experience in and stay for the duration of the game. But maybe that's just me. But anyway, one last thing to close out the episode. We have to talk about this because it is officially MLB trade season, as the Pittsburgh Pirates have made a league-altering trade yesterday afternoon to trade the beloved Adam Frazier to the Kansas City Royals for a minor league player. What's his name again?
I think Cam
I
Devaney.
still can't remember his name.
Cam Devaney.
He'll play 60 games for us this year, and you still won't remember his name.
Some guys I just don't remember. I thought it was Cam, but I was like, so Cam Devaney. Cam Devaney, I know all about him.
Is it Duvernay or
It's
Devaney?
D-E-V, so I
Devin
assume it's
Duvernay.
Devaney.
Yeah, I think a Duvernay, but without the R, like Duvernay.
Yeah, and without
That's what I
the
thought.
U.
I'm
you know what,
remember his name now.
If it's an E, then it has to be Devaney.
Yeah, it's an E. Yeah, it's
Devaney.
D-E-V-A-N-N-E-Y, so I assume it's Devaney.
See, I think
Devaney.
it's either Devaney or Devaney. I don't know.
I'd
which
assume
one.
E because like it's E-Y.
All right, well, we'll have plenty of time to,
Yeah.
because this guy's a big shot. We'll have plenty of time to learn Cam Devaney here. But so he has pretty good numbers in the minor leagues, and this season in AAA, he's done pretty well. What are your guys' thoughts? Adam Frazier, obviously a Pittsburgh Pirate. It's the definition of a Pittsburgh Pirate. It's how you want your players to represent your city, your organization, do
Adam
everything
Frazier
the Pirates.
is the standard. He's the
He
standard.
is the standard. He's everything the Pirates could have asked for and more this season, especially coming off kind of a precipitous downfall, it seemed like, in his career. Just like every year, his batting average getting lower. Oh, the one year with the Orioles, he had like 10 homers, but his batting
13.
average getting 13 homers, but his batting average getting kind of lower. But he did everything the Pirates could have asked. Honestly, I think the Pirates wouldn't have wanted him to have as many at bats as he did, because Nick Gonzalez would have had most of those at bats if he didn't get hurt the first game on his home run trot, oddly enough. But what are your guys' thoughts on the trade? Interesting, because I was saying this, like, I feel like we kind of thought he would be a trade piece, but there was no like buzz about him. Like you'd see like Andrew Heaney would get buzz about him, and he's played about he's been average for the Pirates. I think Adam Frazier's been pretty average. What you like from the Pirates, but Andrew Heaney's getting these. Oh, Andrew Heaney's gonna go to this team or that team or whatever, and even Tommy Pham's been discussed, but Adam Frazier really hasn't been discussed as much as a trade piece, even though he's a rental for a team that's 19 games under 500 going into the All-Star break. So, what are your guys' thoughts on the trade? Cam Devaney, I got his name now. Cam Devaney. What are your guys' thoughts on this move?
Well, overall, it's pretty much like a why not type move. I mean, Adam Frazier, the Pirates signed him for $1 million, like barely a major league contract. So we didn't expect much whenever we signed him, and obviously I think he outperformed. I think we could all agree his $1 million contract. But yeah, it's an example of why not. You trade him to the Royals, and I get Devaney is 28 years old, has been in the minors for a long time, but at the same time, the whole left side of the infield could be completely different by the time the trade deadline is done. IKF, I think, is a matter of when, not if. He's gone. Cabrian Hayes, it's getting more and more likely that he'll be gone. Why not see if he could become a decent major leaguer? I mean, I get why maybe the Royals trade for a guy like Frazier before the deadline, because you get him for some extra time. It gives you a chance to put him in the outfield to kind of like solve that issue that they have. and maybe they could be competitive at the deadline and kind of alter their decision. But overall, like, why not? Like, I think with Frazier losing playing time with both Nick Gonzalez being back and Tommy Pham being on a heater, it was just Frazier wasn't going to see the field as much, and then we figured by the deadline it was going to be the same case. But this was probably the best deal that the Pirates are going to make. I don't blame them for doing it now. Like, I think a lot of people are like, okay, you got to wait to get the best value at the deadline. But the Pirates didn't trade Mitch Keller. They didn't trade some other guys. They traded Adam Frazier, who didn't see the field that much. And you get a shortstop who's putting up very good numbers in AAA. Like, I get, again, that there's a reason why he's been in the minors for this long, but at the same time, why not give him a shot? I mean, other than, guys like Nick York, maybe Billy Cook, who else is going to be on the left side of that infield whenever the trades happen? Maybe Paguero, but like at the same time, he's been struggling in AAA, and you get a guy who has 19 homers in 60 games. I think that's worth of a shot.
You might as well audition somebody for next year.
Exactly, might as well.
Why not bring a guy who's smashing it in AAA? I mean, this guy is bringing a lot of pop for a shortstop. Now, his strikeout, swing and miss is a little bit of an issue, but hey, if he could become a 230, 240 shortstop with power, he could end up starting for us next year at shortstop. I know a lot of people roll their eyes at that, but this is the Pittsburgh Pirates we're talking about. So if he plays well, and he's cheap, he'll be part of the plans next year. Now, this kid is 28 years old, so he wasn't considered like a top 30 prospect or anything like that, but he was playing like one this year. But he was drafted, I'm sure he was a late round pick. He was drafted out of Elon, right? Elon University. Jake told me that. And so people are like 28 years old. Well, he's a minor league journeyman. That's not necessarily the case. He's got drafted. He played in his first minor league season was 2019. Obviously, 2020 there was no minor league baseball. So he's been a minor leaguer for 4 or 5 years. That's not. I mean, he's worked his way up. Obviously, he's had enough success. I looked at his numbers. He really struggled in Double-A one year, but then the next year he really figured it out, and then he's gone to AAA, and he's been very, very good. So, I mean, I think the guy obviously has earned a chance in the big leagues. The Pirates are out of it. You're not gonna have you don't have an option right now for to replace IKF really, because Nick Gonzalez has become the second base, but he's not going to be playing short. So I like the move. I think it's the best value you probably could have got for Adam Frazier. And like you said, Nate, there wasn't a lot of buzz about Adam Frazier. So you had this chance. Or obviously the Royals probably just saw him in Kansas City and maybe thought about him. I don't know, because he played for them last year and was part of that playoff team. And he was pretty bad last year. That was the worst year of his career. And now they're getting a version of Adam Frazier who's hitting 250 and gives you that positional flexibility. So they get the better version of Adam Frazier, hopefully this time around. And I think it was a good move.
And not only that, but like you have to think the Pirates are going to lose Frazier in 2 months. Like why not? Right. Why not? Like if it was for cash considerations, we'd be like, okay, there's
we
really
love
no
cash
point
considerations.
Yeah, but like they got a player that worst case scenario he doesn't do well. Oh well, you lose Frazier anyway in 2 months. Like. If this guy doesn't pan out, who cares? But best case scenario, he becomes a decent major league player, and if you can get that for a whole time span of a contract with 6 years for a guy that you signed for $1 million, like that's obviously the best case scenario there.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I saw on Bucko Twitter there were some people just not happy. I don't even know, like just not happy with the trade for some reason. I don't see that. They were like, Frazier could really help us in August and September. And it's like, help us do what? Do what exactly? Not finish with fewer than 70 wins? Like, I don't know what the upside is. This is a low-risk kind of trade. Obviously, you're trading Frazier away. And he's been, like I said, a pro's pro with the Buccos. But expiring deal. Get whatever you can back from him. Like you mentioned, Jake, it's not cash considerations or something where there's like no seen impact on the baseball field. But yeah, I mean, give this guy a chance, see what he can do. I would assume he'd be up in September when I mean, he might be. Who knows who could be up in August?
Yeah, they
when
offer
they
him for
trade.
now, but who knows what happens after the deadline? Like that could completely.
I mean, probably when IKF is gone, if Key Brian Hayes is traded, that opens up roster spots for somewhere. And unless the Pirates trade for major league ready infielders at the deadline, which that would be awesome if they did. But if they didn't, then you bring this guy up, you bring a Nick York up or something like that, and you see what you have. You just got to see what you have in some of these guys. I just don't like how overall we're just going to have them sit in the minor leagues for a while, and he doesn't get a chance. Like, give Nick York a chance, give Billy Cook a chance, give some of these guys that these guys were lauded for these Ben Cherington masterclass on these trades last year to get Billy Cook and to get Nick York from Quinn Priester trade. Okay, you got your praise there, but now, like, why are you not playing them? Why are they not getting their chance? So I think they have to get their chance at the major league level at some point this year and see what you have. Obviously, Sawinski's already up again now. I think this is it for him. I feel like this season, if he doesn't show signs of, I mean, again, if he just hits 230 something, and he gets on base at a pretty high clip. If he hits 225, 220, if he gets on base 310 or something, which we saw, I mean, he had a pretty high on base. He takes his walks. He's the prototypical walks, strikeouts, homers kind of guy. If he shows anything, that would be great. But if not, this is probably it for him with the Pirates organization. I think the next couple months, and we'll talk about this more as it happens, as the trade deadline comes and goes, just the opportunities for some of these younger guys to see if there's any hitting other than Connor Griffin in this minor league system.
Who were you referring to just now, Nate? Who were you talking about?
Sawinski?
You said it was his last chance with the Pirates?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah.
I think right now this year they're going to give him a chance here. I think it's his last chance with the Pirates and maybe with any other team in the majors, because it's been a couple years now of decline and just not being able to hit the baseball at all. There's going to be some opportunity, and again, we'll talk about that as August and September rolls around, but looking pretty bleak in the minor league system, and we haven't heard. Usually the pom-poms are out by the I don't want to say propagandists, but by the Pirates, the people who work with the Pirates and everything, saying, "Oh, look at this guy in AAA doing a great job and everything." But you haven't heard any of that with some of these guys, especially guys Cherington acquired. So it is kind of makes you scratch your head on if they can be anything.
Nate, you mentioned Jake Bell, and I want to ask Jake and you. I mean, Nick York was a first-round pick, and I just don't understand why he hasn't gotten a call this year. I'm assuming after the trade deadline they will, but I thought that he'd get a chance. I mean, I guess if you look at his numbers, he's had a clear decline this year in AAA. I mean, he was dominating AAA. His first year in AAA last year, he was hitting way over 300 and everything. And this year he's like slightly above average in AAA. So that's kind of concerning. I mean, he's a 2020 first-round pick. When are the Pirates going to call him up, and where do we see him playing? Because I've heard that, he's going to be a corner outfielder. His primary position is second. I think he could play third. Maybe he can play short. I'm not sure. Like, what are the Pirates going to do with Nick York? Because, he was like one of the guys last year at the deadline, like, wow, this could be interesting when we got him for Quinn Priester.
My guess is that they saw him through the spring and maybe didn't feel like he was ready. I think they wanted him to get a lot of AAA at-bats. That would be my guess, because that's obviously been the case, where we haven't seen much power from him. It took him a while to get it going in terms of just being a consistent hitter this season. But I think that overall they felt like he was a post-trade deadline type of player they were going to have playing on the major league roster unless he just broke out in AAA earlier on in the season. They're like, okay, we can't forget this guy. It's kind of like if you look at Nick Gonzalez last year. It was so much talk between, Paguro, Trioli, you kind of like, at second base, you kind of said, okay, Nick Gonzalez out on the side because he didn't perform maybe to the level that those two played the year before, and then Nick Gonzalez hits 350 in AAA, and then you're like, okay, we have to call him up. I think it was a situation like that where they felt like maybe Nick York wasn't particularly ready. Maybe that's why they
Yeah, I mean,
signed Frazier.
obviously, his numbers aren't good. I mean, they're for mine being in AAA compared to his numbers last year, they're not the same. So that's very concerning. But where do you see him? Is he going to play short or left or right? Like, where's he going to play? Or all of them?
I don't think he'll play short, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I think it's more likely he plays third or a corner outfield spot.
Let's see where he's played from. This year. He's played. What? I'm having trouble reading this. Oh, that's his career. Oh, okay. Here we go. He's played left field, right field, and primarily at second base. He hasn't seen third base this year.
Maybe corner outfield then is assuming Pham is gone. Yeah.
No. Don't let Tommy
Pham,
go.
we owe Tommy an apology, man. Like imagine if they would have figured out his contacts early in the season.
Yeah.
Like as goofy as that sounds, but that's like on Sherrington. Like you have to know that when you're signing a guy. Like, is he gonna be good to go? And I think it's something that's affected him his whole career. And he's still, you got to give him credit. He's probably gone through a lot of adversity, and he's had a pretty solid major league career. He may have been a much better player. Had he not had this issue overall. But obviously it's like, the Pirates had better options, and they didn't, But, hey, you got to give him credit. I think he turned out not as bad as we thought, and he's definitely not the main issue,
He's been much better than Verdugo and Tyler O'Neill that we, at the time, would have preferred to have.
Yeah.
So.
And even Randall Grichuk hasn't lit the world on fire. Now, we knew he wasn't going to have as many at-bats.
Though, I think.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, relative.
Yeah.
It's not like you're going to crazy upgrade. But anything else? Pirate Peyton? Nothing? No?
I don't think so.
I think we covered everything today, didn't we?
Yeah, I think so.
Everything.
Good time frame, too, I thought.
Yeah.
TJ Watt, it was perfect timing, 5 minutes. We had to come up with a quick reaction there.
We love I think the fans love the instant reaction. What's on your mind? Right when it happens. But that'll do it for this rendition of We Are Family, episode 39. Make sure you like our content and subscribe so you can get notified when we post these videos. And make sure to follow us on our Instagram, our X, our TikTok, at We Are Family.
Handles in the description.
Yes, and we have a link tree as well. You can check that out. On the Instagram, we have the link to it. So if you want to see any of our handles, you can see them there. Next week, I think next week might be the week we delve into some NFL just a little bit with training camp right on the doorstep. It's already basically on the doorstep.
It'll be happening when we buy our next episode.
It'll be basically happening next week. So we'll get some NFL in. And maybe the Pirates, maybe Ben Cherington makes another masterclass trade, and we can react to that as well. So, again, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.